Welcome to The God Vibe. This is a space where you remember what's already true inside of you. You remember the truth of the power and presence of love within. I'm Mazanke, and what I do is help people return to clarity, peace, and power, not by pushing harder, but by coming back into alignment with God. If you've been overthinking, forcing outcomes, or feeling disconnected, you're in the right place. Let's get you back into the God vibe. Hi, welcome to this episode of The God Vibe. I'm your host, Mazanke, and I'm grateful that you're here today. Today, we're going to talk about empowered prayers. Now, this episode is not for you if you already have a routine and a ritual in which you feel safe and comfortable and you love your specific ritual. However, if you are looking for ways in which to feel more empowered in order for you to feel like, hey, this is going to work, these prayers are going to be answered, then this episode is absolutely for you. I want to mention to you that a few weeks ago, I read a really great analogy by Neville Goddard, and it was about empowered prayers. It was about praying so that you can know what you can do in order to have your prayers be answered. Neville Goddard was a really great personal growth and introspection expert. So if you haven't ever read any of his stuff, I highly recommend it. But what he said was this: use your prayers like you're going to the mailbox. When you go to the mailbox, take your prayer, put it in the mailbox, and drop it in the mailbox and let it go. And then, after you let it go, expect that prayer to be answered. And what he went on to say is this, that so many people will take their letter to God in the form of a prayer and put it in the mailbox, and they will say, wait a minute, I got to take that out because I'm not sure if the mailman knows where to take this, or if the mailman will take it, or if it will get returned to sender. We don't know. And that is you trying to control the outcome. This is about building faith and trust in knowing that your prayers are going to be answered. So the first step is let go and let God. That's the first step. And the second step is to have an expectation of success. Don't put your prayers out there saying, oh my gosh, I don't think this is going to happen, or I wonder when it's going to happen. You want to have that expectation of success. You also want to include gratitude as a very important practice. Gratitude is in direct alignment with abundance, and abundance is who God is what God is. We live in an abundant universe. And so when we live in an abundant universe and just look at all of the things that we abundantly have here, we are connecting to a much higher frequency. We're connecting to the God vibe. So whenever you may be feeling down or stuck, use the power of gratitude, saying thank you, and not just thank you, but thank you in advance for whatever it is that you're asking for. I learned a lot about prayer and how to connect to prayers and create a very high expectation of prayers when my family and I went through the most difficult season of our lives. What happened was we had a 9-year court battle for our granddaughter, Sawyer. We had a 9-year court battle for her safety and her freedom. And so it was a season of high stress and a great deal of difficulty. And what was interesting about the court situation was that our initial experience was very, very unfavorable in the place of really experiencing stress and difficulty and not feeling heard by the court system. And we went on year after year after year after year to think, okay, this is going to be it. This is going to be the year. And if you had told me that it would take 9 years for us to free our granddaughter, I would have said, you're absolutely crazy. There's no way. Just because of the circumstances around the case. And I won't get into the details of that now because this is all about empowered prayer. But there was one thing that I held on to throughout the whole process, not the whole process, throughout the process after I really had a lot of fear and a lot of doubt at the very beginning. And what I learned was I had a freedom plan, a freedom vision in my mind, a freedom expectation. And no matter what happened at court, which we were in court so many different times throughout the process, no matter what happened, I held tight to the fact that we are free. We are free. I know we're free. Thank you, God, we're free. And that was my mantra. That was what I focused on. And so we would have setback after setback after setback after setback. We had many of them over the years. And what happened was those setbacks were actually fuel for me to focus more and to be in gratitude more of our daughter and granddaughter's freedom. It was so motivating for me to be able to say, no, I'm not going to let this bother me. I'm not going to let this be a setback for me. I'm going to use it as a setup for there's something out here and it's here and it's happening now. It's something, it's either freedom now or something greater still. And I learned, hold out your hand for the something greater still. Let God know, let the universe know, hold out your hands and say, it's either this or something greater still. Now let's talk a little bit about your thoughts and your words and your actions, because everything that we do is an exchange of energy. And so your thoughts are energy, your words are energy, and your actions are energy. So when you get clear about a prayer that you are asking for, why do you ask yourself this question? Are my thoughts aligned with this prayer being a success? Are my words aligned with this prayer being a success? And are my actions aligned with this prayer being a success? You see, most people have an attitude of hope. God, answer this for me. God, do this for me. God, it's in your hands. And I agree with letting go, of course, but the hope is not an actionable thing. You've got to take some actions. You've got to change up your frequency of how you are showing up in order for the power of your prayers to be more connected. So that freedom vision that I had and I held, it was really specific. The freedom vision, we called it the Disney vision, because when I asked Sawyer when she was 2 years old, what is your definition of freedom, Sawyer? She said, my definition of freedom is going to Disney World as a family. And so that became my inspiration for what I called the Disney vision. And the Disney vision got very detailed. I saw our family celebrating our freedom in Disney. And we did exactly that in 2021 in advance. I asked, what's an action step that is in vibrational harmony with this vision being reality? And the answer was go to Disney. So we had an entire Disney escape, so to speak, or a vacation as a family. We took Sawyer in 2021. We were not free at that point. But the interesting thing about it is we booked another family vacation in 2025. And in 2025, that is the year that freedom happened. We went in January of 2025 to Disney once again as a family. And not only that, but I continued this great plan and vision of being in Disney, and we had our whole family there and then some. And it was a really joyous occasion. And that is when the momentum of the freedom came, and we were able to, by April 11th of 2025, achieve that freedom vision. So we did it twice, and that's what we called the Disney vision. Now, what you want to do when you are praying is focus your words and your thoughts and your prayers away from the condition that you are seeing, because the condition or the problem implies lack. And we want to get you to focus on perfection, because God has perfection. God is perfect. And so we want you to focus on perfection. This Disney vision, as I shared with you, was one where I was very clear about how much fun we were having as a family in Disney, because Sawyer provided the inspiration for that. Recently, I've had two dogs. One was a friend's dog and one happened to be my daughter's dog that had some specific conditions. One dog was attacked, really viciously attacked by another dog, and my daughter's dog had a really bad rash. So I got to work in my morning routine. I always do my morning routine. I wake up very early in the morning to focus on my prayers and my vision and setting things in motion for the day. And for those two specific dogs, I was very clear that this is not God's will for them. And so I said, there is a miracle here. There is a miracle for my friend's dog, and there's a miracle for Doodle, our grand dog. And so I was really specifically focused on both of them, seeing them in their perfect health rather than seeing them in the condition of what they were experiencing. So if you know of someone and are praying for someone that has a specific condition, what you want to do is you want to take your mind away from the condition and put it on perfect health. What are they doing? How are they behaving? How are they acting as they are in perfect health? So it's a complete opposite of what many people choose to do in their prayers. They want to focus on a lot of the condition of the prayers, but you want to see that person in harmony, in peace, in wellness. I've got a lot of people that I've been praying for recently, and I always see them. I've got a young 6-year-old boy, and I see him as a 10-year-old boy thriving on the playground. I see him as an 18-year-old boy walking across the graduation stage at his high school graduation, receiving his diploma. And I see him as a 25-year-old man getting married, and really seeing his full health and the spectrum of his full health before me. And those specific images are called scaffolding images. Those scaffolding images set in motion the expectation that this is what you are expecting for this young child who has a chronic health condition to be, that he is healed. And these are the three things that I see in my mind of him doing on a daily basis. See that perfection and watch and witness the experience of that perfection. I did it with the dogs, and I got messages every day like, hey, the dogs are experiencing miracles. The dogs are so much better. The dogs are feeling better. It's because of that expectation of the miracle. The other thing that I want to mention about the empowered prayers is that there is also great power in both surrender and patience. The surrender is, hey, I am feeling fear. There were many times in the process of our walk to freedom that I felt fear, and I felt it, and I felt it somatically in my body. My body viscerally felt the fear kind of taking over me. And so each time I felt fear, what I would do is surrender that fear and put it, in my case, I put it on an altar to God to say, I don't want this anymore. I know that this is not effective for me anymore. So I'm going to surrender this and bring it to you. And I know you can bless it and you can take this feeling of fear from me. Patience was another great experience that I had in the season of stress and difficulty with my family. And I learned how to be really patient, knowing that the timing is always going to work out in our favor. And finally, the last thing I want to mention here is that you always want to ask for help. I ask for help. We are surrounded by loving entities that help and support us, angels that are around us. We have earth angels that help us too. You always want to ask people around you or ask for, in the spiritual space, for help so that you know that you are loved and supported. I love bringing concepts like this to you, and please give me your feedback on how you have the opportunity to use some of the tools that we offered here today and how they worked for you. I am wishing you the most joyful day, and go out and do something joyful in your life today. Have a great one. Thanks for listening. If something in this episode landed for you, just notice that. You don't need to rush to fix anything. Awareness is where everything begins. And if you're ready to go deeper, not just hearing this, but actually living it, I offer a few ways to work together. You can find those in the show notes. Until next time, stay connected to your body, trust what you feel, and come back to the God Vibe.